Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about the most recent ColourPop collection. I'm talking about their latest Disney collaboration. This time it's A Small World. This collection is currently available. You can find it on the ColourPop website, and you can also find it at Ulta. If you decide to purchase this collection or anything from the ColourPop website, you can use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on pretty much everything on the ColourPop site. Sometimes there are exceptions to that code, especially if things are on sale. We're in that holiday season, sale season, so make sure you check your cart totals after you apply a code just to make sure that you're getting the best possible deal. I have so much to show you with this collection. We have some lip products, some cheek products, and an eyeshadow palette. I'm going to show you close-ups, swatches, a tutorial. I have comparisons for everything in this collection except for the lip products. These are Fresh Kiss glossy lip stains, and there's pretty much no going back once you swatch these. They do live up to their name. They do stain quite a lot. As you can see, if you're ever wondering why there aren't swatch comparisons for those, this is why. That's also why I tend not to lip swatch staining products like this too. It's just really hard to remove them. The colors get all messed up, especially with these Fresh Kiss glossy lip stains because they are more sheer on application. So once your lips are stained, all the subsequent swatches are affected. Hopefully that makes sense to you. But I will show you an arm swatch of all four of these shades. That way you can see them all side by side. And of course I'm wearing one of the colors in the video. You'll get to see me apply it in the tutorial portion. But for the palette and the Super Shock highlighters and the pressed powder blushes, I did do a handful of comparisons for all of those to help you get a better feel for the shades. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's start first with the two Super Shock highlighters. This collection has special packaging on the outer cartons as well as all the individual components as well. I love the little print inside. That's such a cute little peekaboo detail. Then the highlighters themselves have some special packaging as well. Same shape and size, same style of that screw pot actual component, but we have this iridescent printing on the front. We've got the special font for the shade names on the back. Then when we look at the actual Super Shock shadows, these are both a tie-dye style, so it's a bunch of different colors swirled into one pan. Each one is going to look different, so from shade to shade they will differ a little bit. These are pretty glittery as far as the Super Shock highlighters go. Whimsical Ride is a bit more glittery than Jubilant Chorus. And here are just a handful of Super Shock highlighter comparisons for each one. Jubilant Chorus is sort of a cross between a more sparkly purple shift and an icy champagne gold undertone type of color. So really, one side mixed with the other sort of gets that Jubilant Chorus shade in the middle. Whimsical Ride, I think, is a bit more straightforward shade-wise. It's a rose gold, kind of pinky toned, not quite as glittery as Felicity, but definitely more so than Teasecake. So again, kind of a mix between the ones on either side of it here in the comparison. Next up for cheeks, we have some pressed powder blushes. For the pressed powder blushes, the outer packaging on all of these looks exactly the same. However, we do have the shade names actually printed on the tops of the boxes. They are not stickers or anything like that. And then they're actually printed on the back side of the actual blushes as well. So that's how you know which one you're getting when you grab for these, since you won't really be able to tell from the front packaging. These do not have mirrors inside. They are a heavy-duty cardboard packaging with a magnetic closure. Each one of the little printed images in the blushes are slightly different, and these are very matte in appearance in the pan. However, when they're swatched, they do have just the slightest bit of a satiny feeling to them. I would call these a satin matte. They're not that super dry, kind of chalky matte texture that we get from some very, very matte pressed powder blushes. These do have a little bit of a soft, satiny feel to them. I didn't do a ton of comparisons for these, but I did want to make sure I showed these alongside some of their other pressed powder blush releases of late to give you an idea of the similarities or differences. This Freaky Genius girl from the High School Musical, they look more similar in the pan. I swear, when I pulled them, I thought they looked more similar in the pan, but in this swatch, there's obviously more of a difference. This Happiest Cruise shade is my favorite. I do think it's really special. It's kind of a blend between Nightbloom and Potted. It's this gorgeous berry with a twist of lilac color to it. I really, really like that one. And I also think that Dancing Darlings will be popular. Red blush has been highly requested lately, and this one is very similar to Baby Cakes, the Sweethearts blush, so keep that in mind if you already have Baby Cakes. You don't need Dancing Darlings. Let's talk lips now. Like I said, these don't have comparisons just because of the staining factor, but I do want to show you some close-ups of the packaging and give you some info about these new Fresh Kiss Glossy Lip Stains. As of right now on the ColourPop site, these lip colors are not individually available for sale. It's just this smooth sailing set that's offered. So if you want any of these, you have to get all of them. I don't necessarily love it when they do that. I do think this would be a great little giftable set. Personally, I am a huge fan of the Fresh Kiss Glossy Lip Stains, so I'm always excited to see more shades released in my favorite formulas. All four of these have a subtle shimmer to them, which I think you can tell here in the close-up, and that's not something that we've seen in these glossy lip stains before. Otherwise, the packaging, despite the special printing on it, is the same style of component, same shape and size, same applicator. Formula-wise, texture-wise, it also seems the same as previous glossy lip stains. However, just take note there is a little bit of a sheen. I think it's more noticeable on the lips than it is here in these swatches, but I think you can still pick it up in these little quick swipe swatches as well. It's not an overbearing, gritty glitter, but there is just a little bit of sparkle added in here. I think that's very cute for this holiday release, very Disney-tastic release. So I actually don't mind it. Usually not a fan of shimmery lips. I also wanted to point out that especially the really bright pink shade leaves quite a stain behind. It did take me a whole 24 hours to get rid of this, so beware. Lastly, we have the It's a Small World palette. We're going to take a close-up look at the palette. I'm going to show you finger and brush swatches, and I also have a few comparisons for this one as well. This palette has different cover art for the outer box and the palette itself. I actually prefer the palette over this outer packaging. Something about this face reminds me of the cookies from Eaton Park. I know that's so random. I'm just gonna move on. The ingredients are listed on the back of the outer carton. You will not find them on the palette. So if you are interested in referring to that, make sure you hang on to your box. The outside of the palette is so cute. I love the little textural details on the front with these iridescent holographic gold details, and when you look up close there's this little sparkly snow-like glitter. This is so cute. I really, really like the front of the palette. Then when we open up inside, Eaton Park Cookie Guy is back. There's no mirror inside, and then we have a new sort of shade layout here with different shapes of pans. I like this in theory. I personally just feel like it looks like so much dead space. I don't know if it actually is more dead space than usual, but I think it's just more of a personal preference. I don't know. I don't love the way it looks, but I do like the idea of it. I know that probably doesn't make sense. This is laid out in seemingly little monochromatic-ish trios in the columns. You don't have to use it that way, but it can help you to break down the palette into 3 or 6 pan color stories if that helps you. Now moving on to the swatches, I do think that this performs a lot better with finger swatches, and it performs a lot better on the eye than these brush swatches indicate. Not a huge fan of this little glittery gold shade. I know this is their new pressed glitter. I personally still don't love it. I prefer it over the chunkier pressed glitters, but that's just a personal preference. You may love this, and I do think that it fits with the theme. It's just, for me, as a reviewer and as somebody who likes to wear makeup, it's not something I like to wear. I do like this color story overall, and I couldn't shake the feeling of familiarity with it. And this first comparison is exactly why. One of my favorite palettes of all time, the Mercury Retrograde from Huda. Look at how similar these color stories are. Isn't that crazy? No wonder it felt so familiar, and no wonder I liked it so much, because it's very similar to one of my favorite palettes. The next comparison I'm going to do was requested by somebody over on Instagram. They said they really wanted to see the Midnight Masquerade palette, and I actually think that these would be good companion palettes. Midnight Masquerade is definitely a little bit more of those rich jewel tones. We're getting a little bit more depth with some of the colors, but I think they would work nicely together. Next, we have this Muppets palette, which has been a surprise favorite for me lately. I think that this is one of their more fun and just well-curated palettes overall. Some overlap there, especially on the end, but not a ton of one-to-one dupes for the most part. Moreover, just like a similar color story vibe. And I think sort of the same thing here with So Jaded. The last few shades are more similar, but there is a little bit more of that rich jewel tone and not so much of the whimsical pastels that It's a Small World is bringing to the table. Now that you've seen everything swatched, you've seen all the products close up, I want to show you a few of these things in action, and I'll wrap up all my thoughts on this collection along the way. My overall feeling towards this collection is I like everything, but I don't really love anything. Probably the thing I like the most is this blush in the shade Happiest Cruise. I just think it's so cute. It's flattering. It brings a really flushy little pop of color, and it can definitely be worn sheared out or built up. It's just really pretty, and it's definitely my favorite piece in the whole collection. I like the Fresh Kiss glossy lip stains, but I don't necessarily love the shimmer in them. It doesn't really mess with me, but it's just not my preferred form of this particular lip product. And I feel kind of the same way about the Super Shock highlighters. Love that formula overall. These are a little bit more glittery than I typically go for, but they still perform well. And I still think that all of those things really, really make sense within the theming of this collection. The palette is cute. I definitely like the different color combinations. I like how the colors are laid out to create these really more simple go-to trios or six-pan color stories if you just look at one half or the other. I don't love the layout, but I like the idea of experimenting with layout, and overall it's just sort of okay for me. Now, I will acknowledge that a big draw for any collaboration is the nostalgia factor or feeling connected to what or whoever the collaborator is. And I don't really have a deep sense of nostalgia for It's a Small World. I actually have been to Disney, but I don't remember if this rides even at Disney World. It's just not my thing. I love that it exists. And just because something isn't my favorite doesn't mean that I don't think there's any value in it. It's just not for me. So for people who are huge, Disney park goers, I have plenty of people like that in my life who are my dear, dear friends. And I love the joy that they get from it. And I would never in a million years have something bad to say about it. It's just not personally my thing. So I don't really feel very connected to this. I don't have any historical ties. I don't feel any sort of, heartstrings tugging when it comes to the theming. But I think a lot of people will. And if that's you, then I think that's awesome. I love that. I don't need every single thing to be for me and appeal to me. I love that this exists for those who are going to find that joy in it. And if you're one of those people, don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't be, because the world is a pretty tough place. And I definitely believe in finding whatever little shreds of happiness you can and hanging on to them and celebrating them. While for me, it's just okay, I fully recognize that this may be a lot more significant to somebody else. And if that's you, then you go for it and you are not wrong. However, if you're just here for quality and performance, I would say stick more to the cheeks and the lips. But overall, it's cute. I like it. I think a lot of people are going to have fun with it. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about this collection. Are you interested? Have you already picked it up? Do you have a lot of warm, nostalgic feelings about It's a Small World? I always love to hear what you think about things too. So make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! I'm scared to even think that I'm actually caught up with ColourPop, because as soon as I speak that into the universe, there'll be 12 more collections announced. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. Okay, let's dig in. Hold on. Just let me... Huh? Woohoo. Sorry. I've been maybe overworking myself. I feel like I'm losing it a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of videos this month, so buckle up. But it's going to be fun, we're here for a good time. My next video is a collaboration. My last video was a collaboration. If things go according to schedule, we'll see. We're working on a tight timeline. It's going to be lots of fun though. I'm having a good time, and if I stop having... I won't phrase it like if I stop having a good time, because work is always work, right? Like there's always an element of not the most fun part of your life to it. But if it becomes way too much, then I'll scale it back. But right now it's full steam ahead. I've got to finish out this year strong. I'm ready. I hope you're ready. And I have literally so many giveaways. I always shudder to say that word because the YouTube scammers are out in force, but I have a lot of contests happening here this month on YouTube and also on Instagram, so keep your eyes peeled because end of the year presents for everyone. Hooray! Alright, I gotta go edit this and film and edit a bunch more things, so I will see you real soon, and I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for hanging out. You're cool, you're cute, and you're very witty. You're a witty conversationalist, so keep those cute little comments coming because I love your face. And I'll see you soon. Okay, bye!